Howdy, howdy do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 287.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. And I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect. But actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator. I could retire and do that.
I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Hey, howdy doody doody Who fans. Welcome back to another week. 287 is here. Hope you're all keeping well and safe and healthy. And that you've had a cracking week and you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related. Indeedy. Yes. Another slow week, dude, for old Who. It's getting boring saying that now.
I know. Nothing happening out there. It won't be happening anytime soon now, will it? So not with the latest lockdown restrictions coming in.
Yes, welcome to lockdown version 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Back indoors.
Yep. Here in the UK, we started our second lockdown yesterday. So we're back indoors. Yeah, it's a shame really, because I think a few weeks ago we were trying to go and discover if they were going to start filming again, because we thought we thought, well, lockdown's eased up a little bit now, and it's a little bit, as long as you're social distanced and you've got everything clean and everything set up as it should be, and there was a hope that they would have cracked on with filming, but alas, I sound like Boris Johnson bloody loves that word, alas, with lockdown now, unless they're filming abroad, I don't think they're going to be doing much production for that. Well, not till the beginning of next year, probably.
No, I can't see it. I'm going to say, the annoying thing is a few cogs had started turning, hadn't they? Because it wasn't not just on the new series, but I think they were, if rumour has it, I think they were just about to sort of start up again. I don't know if they actually got going. But also things like the Doctor Who Blu-ray sets, some of the guys that are involved in the specials had started tweeting stuff saying, we're back filming again. Matthew Sweet put out a tweet saying, I've just interviewed someone for the next set and I'm so excited for you to see it. Chris Chapman to put something about a few documentaries he's been working on. So the cogs had started turning on the new Blu-ray sets. It's like, things feel like we're gradually moving in the right direction, and then suddenly the brakes are slammed on again. And it's all stopped. But it's good to know that they're any chance they're working on those Blu-ray sets, because I feel like we were due another one this year, which is obviously not going to happen. I don't know about you, but especially now when we're back under lockdown, one thing I would really love is if I had a new Doctor Who Blu-ray set to work through, because they're just packed with special features and stuff, aren't they? a new one of those would have been great if they could have just timed it before lockdown. Yeah, but no, I'd rather they spent time actually getting it right and, making them as good as the previous sets. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to whatever the next one is, whenever that next one is.
Whenever that is. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a few tweets being thrown out there. The stuff's been happening.
Yeah.
But and sadly, so we've got another month lockdown here in the UK, so that'll probably put the end to that for a month. But
yeah. I know it sounds doom and gloomy and stuff, but we do have to keep the old chins up and keep rocking and keep doing Who stuff. Keep reading Who, watching Who, chatting to fellow Who fans and stuff. Just keep it nice and keep the ball rolling, I suppose. I imagine I would have liked to have seen a bit more from the Beeb, around this time. Because I think what they tend to do is they will just pop a video on the official YouTube channel. But it's just nothing crazy at the minute. It's just a clip from like an older episode, or it might be a 2 or 3 minute clip or something like that. So it would have been, it would be nice to have a bit more of a thing. I mean, I know we've got the Time Lord Victoria stuff that's trickling out and that's coming out regularly stuff, which is good and stuff. But the Beeb just seem incredibly quiet on everything to do with Series 13 and what's happening online. So I don't know, man. I know it's not their job to do that. It's a bit expectant, I guess, but we're all good though. And we hope you guys are all good.
Yeah, and there might be some more watch-alongs. That's the other thing I've seen. People have immediately started up. I think Emily Cook might be doing a couple or something. But yeah, so things like that, like we did last time. I mean, that's the thing. Lockdown, like you said, it does sound all doom and gloom, but there is a good side to it. That you think about the Moff and RTD coming to Twitter last time, and those watch-alongs. There was some great stuff actually happened within fandom. Yeah, never mind the BBC. Forget those guys. But within the fandom, there was some great stuff happened with the last lockdown. So I guess stuff like that will start up again. I really miss. So during the last lockdown, I was able to do the Doctor Who quiz, and me and you did a few, didn't we?
Yeah, that's good.
Obviously, I haven't been able to do that since I returned to work, and I'm hoping to get a few of them in over the next couple of weeks. Stuff like that. So it's not all bad. I'm going to make the most of any time I get between now and December.
Exactly, dude. It's not all
enjoy it. I'm going to read my blimmin' Time Lord Victorious book because it's been sat there since I got it. The first one, something about the fall, the summing, and the summing.
Yeah.
So I need to get that read.
I knew you wouldn't read that, dude.
Well, I like the cover. Love the shiny again. That reminds me. I'm just going to say now I haven't done much this week because I've been working till 9:30, 10 o'clock every night and up until lockdown. As soon as they announced lockdown, my shifts are increased, pretty much doubled. So I've had no time to do anything Who related, I'm afraid. I've watched a couple of episodes of really cool new show called Truth Seekers, which is the new Nick Frost, Simon Pegg thing. Have you watched any of those?
I've watched all of Series 1, yes.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought they'd just come on.
Yeah, I binged it last weekend. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm on episode. How many is there?
8.
Oh gosh, I'm on episode 5 or 6, I think.
Okay.
So I'm already getting near I thought there was 10, but yeah, I'm enjoying that. Is it a good? Without giving anything away, is it a good conclusion? Because it is throwing a lot of twists in there.
I don't know how to.
Oh, I know. Don't say anything.
I won't give any spoilers away, but just my personal opinion is, it's rubbish. In my opinion, I thought the first 2 episodes were really good and sets the whole thing up really nicely. Yeah. But it really doesn't feel like a Nick Frost, Simon Pegg thing.
No, because I've been quite enjoying it so far.
Oh, okay.
I must admit, there was one episode, but I put it down to being tired because I got in really late. And because it's only 25 minutes, it's perfect for just... Because I hate coming in from work and just going straight to bed and then waking up and going straight to it. So I always like to watch something. And that was perfect. So it's like 25 minutes. So I've been getting in and watching a couple every night. And so the first couple were good. There was an episode where I thought, this seems to have died off the death a bit, but I figured it was mid-series, so I just put it down. But yeah, are you telling me it doesn't pick up?
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like my feeling on the series as a whole. I was really up for it because beforehand they labelled it as like a really cool sort of cross between like a British version of the X-Files crossed with...
Well, those two are normally really good as well, aren't they?
Yeah, Simon Pegg's only in it for about 3% of the entire series. It just really doesn't feel like their older projects that they did, like Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead and all that stuff. Really good stuff. This doesn't feel like that at all. It's just... I honestly, mate, I just thought it started off great. The first couple of episodes, I thought, okay, yeah, this is going to be good. But by the end, mate, I was asleep for a lot of it. And just at the end as well, I just thought, oh God, I don't want to spoil it for you, mate.
No, don't say anymore.
No,
because I've been quite enjoying it. I did get the feeling it was running that steam bit, but it's had enough twists and turns in it to keep me going, like the stuff about his assistant and that, all those bits. So there's been enough to keep me going. Maybe they needed it. It's not directed by Edgar Wright, is it? Maybe they needed the old team back together. Yeah.
I think so,
because Edgar Wright, just anything they do with him, he's just such a slick director. When he did Spaced with those guys many years ago, it's just such a brilliant TV show. That's a shame. Well, I'll get the other two watched. I mean, I'm in lockdown now, so I've got plenty of time. So I'll get that finished off. But I haven't done anything else. I did order the book that you were holding up before we recorded, The Adventures in Lockdown.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I've ordered. Mine hasn't turned up. I hate Amazon. They are so... Because I'm not a Prime member, I'm a piece of dirt on Amazon's boot. They don't... If you're not a Prime member, I keep getting emails saying, we'll give you an expected date. So because I'm not a Prime member, and I won't take out their free trial every time I place an order. They're like, no, you can wait a little bit longer for your order. You can wait another week. So I see lots of people have got it. I see you've got it. It looks nice. Is it good?
I've only read the first little teeny weeny.
Can you hold it up again? Because I want to know how thick it is. Because I really can't tell from the picture. Is it a thick book or simple?
No, it's very small.
Oh, it's quite thin.
Yeah, it's... When they say short stories, they weren't underselling you on that. They are quite short, yeah. I've only read the first little bit, and this is Chibbers through and through. You remember when we were going through Series 12, and there was one episode that was really kind of in your face about climate change. Remember when the Doctor
she turns to the camera and says, if we don't act now, but I remember it well.
Yeah, so the opening message, so the opening thing before you get onto the proper stories, it says a message from the Doctor.
Okay, there we go.
And it's she's like, oh hi, that's how it starts. Oh hi, this is an emergency transmission. If you're reading this, the TARDIS must have detected an upsurge in psychological signals from somewhere in space and time. Basically, I think somebody somewhere might be a little bit worried. I'm actually just self-isolating, or as I like to call it, hiding, from an army of Centaurans, but keep that to yourself. Now, here's what I do in any worrying situation. Number 1, remember, you will get through this. I can't even read it, mate. I read like the rest of it, and it's just like, come on, man.
That's I think that's the thing. Didn't she do that to camera? Didn't that the video she did?
Yeah.
She was hiding in the cupboard. Yeah. Okay, I get you. Yeah. Well, maybe I'm not so excited for it now. God, you've ruined my favourite TV show. You've ruined my Amazon order.
I'm sorry, mate. And then he goes on and writes things like, so the step number 4 of 5 is listen to science and listen to doctors, right? They've got your back. So he's having a dig at the politicians there because they haven't been following the science of late. Yes. Number 5 is stay strong, stay positive, which is good. And then you've got this, and I will see you all very soon, the Doctor. So it's all very meta, and it's all very meta and very. And then just to keep the good vibes going, the next story is Things She Thought While Falling by Chris Chibnall. So you've got to get through the Chibber story first.
Okay.
Awesome.
Is that so? I'm assuming that's when the TARDIS threw her out. I'm guessing. Well, I don't suppose you read it.
I'm not sure yet. No. So I'm really looking forward to getting on to the other stories, mate. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. The Paul Cornell one looks good. The Russell T Davies ones and Neil Gaiman, they all sound very good. So I hope I haven't ruined it in terms of the whole book, but just that first initial message from the Doctor is very meta and very...
Very Chibbers.
Very Chibbers. Yes.
To be honest, it doesn't matter because it was very cheap and it was it's for children in need, right? So even if it just sits on the shelf with all my other books, at least it's gone to charity. I can console myself with that.
Exactly.
Or at least some of it has.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. You raise a good point. Yeah, it is for charity, children in need. So regardless if you like it or not, it's for a good cause.
Okay, cool.
Yes. I haven't done anything Doctor Who, buddy, since we last recorded. I've had a really busy week.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? Everything at work just ramps up. I mean, you think lockdown, you think everything just stops. It doesn't. Everyone panics and you have to do twice as much just to get ready to go into lockdown. So, yeah, it's just been mad, hasn't it?
Indeed.
This last week between recording. Yeah.
Yes. Been chatting quite a lot with our other Who fans out in the wild and listeners and so on Twitter and Discord and stuff. So that's all good, like chatting with the community and keeping that all going. But in terms of actually doing Doctor Who stuff, obviously there's no conventions at the moment, and all that's all been shoved out the door in the same way they probably threw Moff out the Moff bag. Go on, get out of it. You're not doing any of that at the minute. But normally I try and get in, at least another watch through of something Doctor Who, but yeah. Alas.
Alas. Because do you remember the thing I didn't get to do, which I really wanted to, was on Halloween. I wanted to watch Brain and Morbius. I was really looking forward to that. But it got vetoed, I'm afraid. It was like, I said, oh, can we watch, I want to watch, my other half wanted to watch Parasite.
Oh,
which actually, have you seen it?
No, I've heard
it. It's Korean film, won lots of awards, subtitled. So I was a bit like, oh, really? I'll tell you what, it's really good. It's actually really good. Good. I shouldn't be put off by subtitled films. I just thought of all the things to watch on Halloween, I didn't think that was the one, but actually it was good. It was it's borderline horror, I suppose. It's got a good horror twist to it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, so I ended up watching that, I'm afraid. So, but Brain and Morbius is still there to be watched during lockdown.
Yeah,
which I've seen a million times, but never see it enough.
Yeah, the awesome performance from Phil Maddock is waiting for you.
Oh, he's brilliant, isn't
he?
Yeah.
Yes. So, we haven't really done too much. So, before we crack on with the rest of the show, though, make sure you are subscribed in whatever podcast app you get your podcasts on. Just do a search for the Big Blue Box Podcast. You'll find us on there. We'd love to have you as a sub, so you won't miss a show, and it lands every Friday. And or just head over to the website. All of the shows are on there. Plus, there are links to go off to those various podcast apps and networks and so on. Which is the Big Blue. Sorry, not the. Oh, steady. Nearly gave you the wrong address. Then do not put the or the in the title. It's just www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. Head over there. You'll find all of that stuff on there. Plus, we've had some really cool articles recently from the writing team. We had a bunch of Big Finish reviews, as always. So the new Torchwood story, Red Base, that was done. We also put up we've done a couple of, we've done one new one anyway, which is still kind of applicable if you like horror stories anyway, but we did our top 5 scariest Doctor Who episodes to watch on Halloween. We've got some good stuff in there. We also did another Big Finish review, which was the 5th Doctor story, Thin Time and Mad Quake. And we also did one of the short trips as well for Colin, the Stolen Hours. And I also put out on Twitter the other day, we did an article months and months ago, which was our top stories to watch during lockdown. And that was all of us, myself and Adam and the rest of the team. We all said, here's our like 3 or 4 episodes that are really cool if you've got just time to kill and you want to go through and have a good range of different Doctors to watch. Then go and check that out. I'll tweet that out again soon. Or just do a search on the website. But we've got we're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Links on the website, or do a search for us over there. Come and chat Doctor Who throughout the week. And we have a free Discord server too. So come and join loads of other Who fans and talk about Doctor Who. And Torchwood and Big Finish and Sarah Jane and whatever else you want to talk about over there. And also remember to check out my co-host Adam, my co-host YouTube channel, Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag.
Yeah.
Over on YouTube.
Exactly.
Check out loads of Adam's videos. Right, there are no news to cover, as you've probably guessed by now. Adam and I are, shaking our heads very disappointingly at no official Doctor Who news or anything, but we have got some merch to go through, so let's have a go at that.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
It's a bit rubbish. but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Well, there you are, young man. What do you think of that now, eh? A Viking helmet.
I know, it's on the telly. It's everywhere.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
Try work in a shop now, it'd help.
Are you ready, buddy, to go out hunting for B&M sets once more?
I've got my head in my hands right now. Just can't even go there.
Oh dear. Oh. So here we are again, where we have a couple of upcoming sets from Character, which are B&M exclusives, unfortunately. When I saw one of these stories, I saw the guy, whoever his name is, doing doing the official video from Character saying, this is how the figures are going to look and blah, blah, blah. When I saw that, I was like, oh, great, these are going to be a website pre-order directly from those guys. But alas, it's not. So we have two upcoming sets from Character. They are both available from the 8th of November, so in a few days' time. And the first one, now, these ones actually look kind of cool. I don't normally go for...
That's why I'm just shaking my head, because they do look really good.
Yeah, I don't normally go for these, but these ones look very good. The first one is the Coal Hill School Collector set, which is a duo 2 set, and that includes a figure of Ace, and it also includes the figure of the Imperial Dalek, the white and gold fella.
I do.
Which got Dalek Tat very excited, I must say.
Yeah, you like that one,
I think he's up for a spray job. Wants to get his colours done like that, I think.
Yes, he should, yeah. A new sprinkle for the new year.
Yeah, we might see that. If he behaves himself, we might look into that. So, yeah. But that looks kind of cool. As usual with Character, the figure of Ace from the neck down looks fantastic. Facially,
from the neck down,
facially looks absolutely nothing like Sophie Aldred at all, but from the neck down looks really good. And then the Dalek, you can't really go wrong with the Dalek. I guess it looks very good. And then the other set is the Witch's Familiar collector set, again available from the 8th of November, and that has got the Peter Capaldi figure with the it's got kind of check patterny trousers and the long dark overcoat with the hoodie and stuff, and that kind of looks like Peter Capaldi a little bit. It's kind of there, but then the star of the show in that set is the Davros figure, which looks very, very good.
I am amazed they didn't have his eyes open though. I thought, because I thought with these sets they normally try and do like a variant, so it's a bit different. I think these figures are very similar to their original release, and I thought, I know what they'll do with Davros. As soon as I heard this rumour, I thought they'll do his eyes open like he did in the episode, but they haven't. No. I'm kind of glad about that myself. I think it looks much better with them closed, but I am surprised they didn't paint a couple of little pupils in there.
Yeah.
A couple of little red eyes. Have you noticed they've dropped a Dalek? They've dropped a Dalek ball. They've got something wrong on this. I'm trying to think of a polite way of saying that. They've made a bit of an error on this set. Can you spot an error on the box? I'll give you a clue because it is quite small.
Let me look at the box. Hold on.
Have a look at the box and have a look where it says The Witch's Familiar.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the other set still. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. The Witch's Familiar. Oh, okay.
That brilliant story from 1988. Mm-hmm. They put the completely wrong year. I think what's happened is because the other Dalek set is 1988, isn't it? Remembrance Dalek. So they somehow put that on the other box by mistake as well. But this is really frustrating me, dude. I'm not even going to lie. It's every time I look at it, because the last sets were a disaster for anyone that doesn't live up north, apparently. I think it's up north. So apparently, because the Character have had quite a lot of people messaging about this, saying like, where are these sets? We can't, the last wave.
Yeah.
We can't find them. Where are they? Everybody's got them up, there's nothing down south. So basically Character said, look, we deliver them to B&M in bulk, and it goes to the distribution centre, and I'm afraid it's down to them where they distribute them. So it's nothing to do with us. We just make the sets, deliver the whole lot to B&M, and then it's down to them where they send them. We don't have any control over it. Mm-hmm. So it's B&M, for whatever reason, have just decided those guys, the second half of the country, they probably don't need any of these. We'll just shove them all up at the top end of the country. And so, it just drives me crackers, mate, trying to get these sets.
Yeah.
And I really, really do, particularly the Remembrance, the Coal Hill school set with Ace. And I really, really love the look of that.
Yeah, agreed.
But the chances of my store getting it is minimal. And I know a lot of people are the same. Anyone that's,
Mm-hmm.
So it's so frustrating. What's the point? Why? Oh.
Yeah. Do you know what, mate? I think there's a part of me that feels like B&M are okay with this, because in an ideal world, there would be a consistent amount of stock distributed evenly to all the B&M stores and everybody has a fair crack at trying to get one. But the fact that it's such a cluster beep of a situation every single time these sets come out, in a way, I think B&M quite like the publicity about it because from their point of view, it's like, well, we don't really care that the Who nerds are complaining as long as they're shouting about B&M.
Yeah,
then
right.
That's kind of that we're okay with that because let's face it, what's the worst that's going to happen? We're going to get a very strongly worded tweet from a Doctor Who fan who didn't manage to get it. Boo hoo! But as long as everyone's shouting about B&M, and our names being shouted about, then so I think there's a small part of me because over the last a couple of years they've been doing these now, maybe longer. I can't remember. Surely, after every wave of complaint, they would have started to at least try to ease this situation a little bit whenever they get these Doctor Who sets in, but they never do. It's always exactly the same hiccup after another and all that lot. So I think that, there's a part of me that B&M are just like, the Who nerds will complain for a little while, then it'll die down. We'll get a little bit of publicity and then we're all good. So I think there's a part of it, mate, but...
and they don't care because they do sell anyway. It doesn't matter where they put them.
Exactly.
They sell because they all end up on blimmin' eBay, don't they? So they know they're selling. You're probably right. They probably don't care at all. No. But it's so frustrating for me and other people like myself that just cannot, without paying silly prices, cannot get these sets. It's so annoying.
Yes. Yeah. These are going to be priced at $19.99, the same as the previous double figure sets that have been out recently. If you head over to the merchandise guide, I'll put a link to the show notes in that as well. They have put the barcode on there, which is really helpful for both sets. Now, that might get you so far. I'm not sure. Like we know, there isn't a way at the moment of speaking to anybody directly at B&M to check stock or anything. They do have this app where you can scan the barcode, but as we know, it's very unreliable. It doesn't tell you exactly where the stock is. In each store, it just says, even if it says yes, it's in stock, please don't get your hopes up and think that's a guarantee because it might just mean that it's in the local warehouse somewhere or it's out the back or whatever it might mean. So scan the barcode in the app if you want to do so, but just take it with a pinch of salt. But hopefully, fingers crossed, if you guys are up for getting it, then you'll find one. But both sets, 8th of November 1999.
Yeah. The other thing is just very lastly as well is, of course, being in lockdown as well and not really wanting to go to the shops at the minute because of COVID, they really do need to sort their online thing out, and that's my final word on it. Just get it sorted, Ben. Right, I'm going to move on because I'm just getting angry, and we'll have to dig out the rank jingle in a minute. Right, moving on. So also coming out very soon is a figurine collection from those guys at Hero Collector / Eagle Moss, and it's set 1 and it's called Classic Masters. So it's a 4 figurine set, and you've got the Anthony Ainley Master, you've got the Crispy Master, I called him, Peter Pratt from The Deadly Assassin. You've got Eric Roberts, yes, and he really is dressed for the occasion in his red robe. And then you've got my favourite, Delgado Master. So it's a 4 figurine set, comes with a little magazine as well and a nice little box. You can order it from eaglemoss.com. What's the price on this little baby? I've got a feeling it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, $33.99. Yeah.
I mean, we talk about likeness. Eagle Moss are very hit and miss. I do collect quite a few of these, but I do cherry pick them because we've said this so many times. Some of them are great, and it tends to be the monsters and human figurines. What's the one I got recently that was blimmin' awful? The River Song. Do you see my River Song one?
Mm-hmm. Not good.
Oh, my word. When I opened that, I was like... Because the thing is, I still get them because I like to post pictures on my blog site and stuff. You know what I mean? But sometimes I get those ones and I just cringe. But other times I open it and think, wow, that's brilliant. Like the TARDIS consoles they were great. The big dragon from Dragonfire looked awesome. Sometimes they really get it right. These ones, I have to say, for the most part, they look pretty good. The Deadly Assassin Master's cool. Even the Eric Roberts one looks pretty decent.
Not too bad.
Delgado looks fairly okay. It's Ainley's
I'm
not sure
one.
about. Yeah, I don't think they've quite got. I mean, they've got the pose and everything, but yeah, I probably won't get this one. I'm going to be honest. It's nice, but it's not £34 nice. I don't think, but I don't know. It is pretty decent. If I had the money, I'd probably get it, but I'm going to probably give this one a miss. I think.
Yeah, same mate.
But it's all, it's not bad though. It's not a bad set.
Yeah, if these were like $19.99.
Oh yeah.
Then it would probably be a decent one because they do look pretty good, especially the crispy. The crispy.
He does look good. He does look good to be fair.
I think the official name for that one is the Emaciated Master.
Ah, okay.
So we should be a bit more kind towards the Master, but he is the crispy one, isn't he? He does look pretty good. But yeah, like you said, Eric Roberts looks like the Elton John version of all the Masters. All the other Masters are in like their black suits and look very typical villain style, whereas you've got Eric Roberts in the very big red and gold stuff. He's like, he's bringing the sass, but he doesn't look too bad. But yeah, Delgado looks all right and Ainley looks not like Ainley at all. But there we go. If this is your thing, and especially if you wanted to continue your Eagle Moss / this is very confusing as well, buddy. Why don't they just transition over to just everything just being called Hero Collector?
I know. I don't get it at all. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, because it's you have to go to shop.eaglemoss.com, then you have to do /hero-collector/ and then your Doctor Who URL, whatever. So just call everything Hero Collector, man. It's going to be a lot easier.
Sounds better.
Yeah, but we'll link to the show notes anyway. If this is your thing, then go forth and get your Master figurines. Right, buddy. That's merch done.
Yep.
It is time.
To answer the question. The oldest question in the universe. Doctor Who?
By Silencio Lake, on the plane of size, an impossible astronaut will rise from the deep and strike the time dead.
All of history is happening at once. What does that mean? What happened to time?
A woman.
According to our files, this is the end for you.
Your final judgment. Before I go, I'd like to know why I have to die.
The first question. The oldest question in the universe, hidden in plain sight.
The Doctor will fall. Silence will fall when the question is asked. All the times I've heard those words, I never realized it was my silence. My death.
The death of time. The end of time. The end of us all. They will take you all, one by one.
It's time.
Series 6 final.
The finale of
Final.
Series 6, eh?
The Wedding of River Song.
Yes. So this was first broadcast back on the 1st of October 2011. It was written by The Mothbag, directed by Jeremy Webb, and it was the Moth was exec producer as well. And it starred Matt Smith, Karen Gillan, Arthur Darvill, and Alex Kingston. Those characters we know. Relatively decently sized supporting cast. And the synopsis for this one is something is wrong in the fullest sense of the word. At first glance, the world seems fine, but upon closer inspection, dinosaurs, Romans, and other things throughout time have appeared. Oddly, nobody seems to be bothered by it, like it was part of everyday life. Another oddity has occurred. Despite the sun rising and setting like normal, the time is always the same. Only the Doctor has the answer, and boy, oh boy, it's going to be a whopper.
A whopper?
A whopper.
I wouldn't use that synopsis.
Yes. So, The Wedding of River Song, buddy. Give me and our listeners your thoughts on this one.
I'm glad we've got to this one, because up until now I've only watched it once, which is when it went out, and I was so disappointed by it. I've never gone back and rewatched this, and I think I've seen it in bits over the years. I think you know our good friends the Who Addicts. I think they particularly don't like it, and I may have watched a watch along with them or something. But yeah, I've never gone back and properly rewatched it until last night, and so I went into this with a sort of trepidation, really. I was sort of dread, because I thought, oh God, I remember this just being a mess. I remember not enjoying really any of this, and but I also was quite interested to give it another go, especially as we've sort of revisited some episodes from Series 6, and I was hoping it would make a bit more sense now. And it is a very convoluted, messy ending to the series, but it was better than I remembered, or it certainly was better on a rewatch. In terms of the story itself, I don't think really works, but what does work for me is the cast are brilliant in it. There is some really genuinely lovely moments in it. It looks fantastic. I mean, what was it, 2011? I'm quite surprised.
Yeah.
The CGI and stuff looks gorgeous. The sets are great. The lighting is brilliant. Matt Smith is just giving a beautiful performance throughout the whole episode. And Moffat's humour really shines through in a couple of moments in this. So I was surprised, really, that although I don't think it's a particularly good story or final, and it's certainly a very disappointing sort of answer to the how does the Doctor survive question, which for me is the real question of the story, not the Doctor Who thing. So despite it not being a particularly good story, I think it's quite an enjoyable watch in its own way. I really was surprised how much I was sort of enjoying it, even though at the same time thinking, well, God, this is crazy, But it's not as confusing as I thought either. Because in my mind, I just remember it kept going back and forth, and the Doctor's got a beard. And I remember being so frustrated watching this back in 2011, thinking, what is going on? But because I had more of an idea watching this the second time, I think I got sort of went with the flow a bit more. So I didn't love it, but there were really nice moments. I mean, completely forgot about the bit where he phones the Brigadier. Completely forgot about that moment, and I thought that was a lovely, lovely little moment. But I think what really carries this, mate, is the cast. But Matt Smith is superb in this episode. He's so good in it that it just made it, for me, it made it really watchable. And there's a lot of really nice lines as well, the humour and stuff. Some of the dialogue was actually genuinely making me smile and laugh. So in all that sort of rubbish that's going on, I was still finding myself laughing at things and sort of thinking, oh, that was good. And, oh, I miss Amy. Amy was cool in that bit. And Amy's gunning down the silence. Oh, wow, this is cool. And she puts Madam What's-Name's eye patch back on. And I'm thinking, God, that's harsh. So there were moments that I was just really, really thinking were good. Nowhere near as bad as I remembered. I'm really glad I've rewatched it. I don't think it's great, but I did find it enjoyable. I did. I'm just surprised, very surprised how much I enjoyed it, really. But mostly because of Matt Smith and all the stuff with Dorian. That was all cracking me up, him and Dorian, and the jokes between those two I thought was really good stuff. Yeah, so it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Not great, but not bad. Yeah, I just don't like the whole Tessa Lecter thing.
Oh, okay.
That just feels to me like them off had sort of written this thing and thought, oh yeah, I know what I'll do. that to me is the letdown of the whole massive build up that we've had through Series 6. But apart from that, yeah, not too bad. I don't get the wedding bit either. I'll just quickly say that I don't understand why they had to get married or what that was about. But yeah, no, I actually enjoyed it to an extent. This one. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Oh dear. How many times have you seen it?
I think I've seen this about 4 times.
Wow, so you see it twice as much as me. Yeah.
Yeah, so I watched this last night for the review just to get myself fresh in the mind for it. But yeah, mate, I just don't find it an enjoyable story, bud.
It's not. No, honest, the story itself is not good.
I just find it. And a part of me, I was going to go on a bit of a rant about.
Go on.
If you are.
Get off your chest.
Well, I was going to go into a bit of a rant about if you were a casual viewer.
Oh, you'd have no chance.
Then this is potentially responsible for turning away fans of Doctor Who want to watch the show, because even halfway through or a quarter of the way through, you would be thinking, I just don't know. Like Doctor Who had a huge history and stuff. Speaking as a new fan who's never seen it before, you were probably thinking, well, I've seen things about Doctor Who before. It's got a big history. Let me have a go. And then you'd probably think, well, it really has got a big history. And that's not even, if you were thinking that, you're only thinking about the history of Series 6, let alone the last 50 odd years of. So it probably feels like this massive, huge beast of a thing that you just have no chance of understanding what it's about. So I was going to go into a rant about that, but then I thought, well, if the first time you've jumped into watching Doctor Who is the finale of a series, then that's kind of your own fault, I suppose, in a way. Like like we were talking about Truth Seekers earlier. Like if somebody listening to this show now went off and watched it, and the first episode you watch is the finale, then that.
It's your own fault.
Yeah, you have to take a bit of responsibility to that. So I was going to say that, but then again, it is the finale, and if new or casual fans had jumped on and watched it as the first time, then that's your own fault. It kind of applies a little bit, like if you were just going through Netflix, for example, or whatever streaming service you have in whatever country, and this just flagged up as a random recommendation or something, and you jumped in and watched it, you've got no hope. You've literally got nothing. Like, I mean it from start to finish. You have zero chance of understanding anything that's going on. I think the first time I watched it, when I picked up the Blu-ray box set, I didn't have a clue what was going on. The first time I watched it, from a fan who's watched everything up to that point. So it is a bit... The Moth comes under a lot of criticism for this one, because it's... So a lot of people view it as convoluted and very, very timey-wimey and very just confusing. Like you, when I rewatched it, I thought, in my head, I'm sure this was a lot more confusing the last time or last few times I watched it. But it didn't seem that confusing now, which is weird. It just doesn't seem as this big convoluted mess of this kind of spaghetti junction of rubbish that, I remembered it to be. So that's one good thing. It wasn't quite as confusing as I remember before. But I think just just Series 6 as a whole is just not very enjoyable, unfortunately, for me anyway. Which is a real shame, because we both absolutely love Matt as the Doctor.
I do, and I think that's the thing with Matt, is that he does tend to carry a lot of the stories through his era. But it struck me how great he was in this.
Yeah.
I mean, he really throws himself into the story. Matt's so good at the emotion as well. I'm interested to know what you think of the bit where he phones the brig. Because the Moffat does... Obviously, the Moffat likes the brig as a character, but he doesn't always... Because he's thrown him into the mix a few times, isn't he? Like, we do try to forget the cyber brig. But I think the Moffat's intentions were good. But I think this for me works much better. I really like that scene when because the Doctor just looks knocked for six. Yeah, he's just always assumed that the Brigadier will be there, but then he can still go back and visit him at any time. So it's a bit of a, don't know. But I think Matt Smith sells it to me in that scene. I really felt touched by it. I was like, he's just like, the brig's gone. He's just like, I've just got to accept it. This is what happens. Everyone has their time, sort of thing. I thought it was a nice moment. But I think mainly Matt Smith, like a lot of things, really sold a lot of this to me. I just thought he was great in it. I always love him, but every time I watch him, I just love him just a little bit more. I just think he's brilliant as the Doctor.
Yeah, no, agreed, mate. And it was that whole scene with the brig. It was lovely, and fair play to the Moff. I mean, as we know, he does know his, a bit like Russell, and one would think Chibnall, but yeah, but the Moff does really know his who, because back in the McCoy story, Battlefield, McCoy does say that his old friend, the Brigadier, passes away peacefully in his sleep. And then here we have the woman on the phone talking to the 11th Doctor, and she's like, he passed away peacefully in his sleep.
Yeah.
So he knows the link between a Doctor many, many years ago talking about this event, and now he's matched it up almost exactly with this. So it is a really lovely scene, and that just adds to the authenticity of that scene. It's almost like a little nugget of time removed out of the story. It's just that quick little minute and a half where Matt Smith is just really, you can, like you said, he sells that whole scene. You can see that he's sort of quietly devastated about that.
And I just realised as well, looking at Wikipedia, that Nick Courtney had actually passed away that year. So he died in February 2011. When did this air? October 2011.
Yeah.
So did they add that scene in, or I wonder if that was a? But it's a nice. I like the fact that the Moffs put that in there. I think it's a nice nod to the brig.
Yeah, no, it was a nice scene actually. It was really nice because they could have not done that at all. They could have just left it, and
well, they could have just put a caption up, couldn't they? Dedicated to, and that would have been it, like they have done with a few things.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if they added it in. I'm not sure when the filming production was done for this.
Yeah.
Though. It was probably much earlier in the year, so it would have been fresh in people's minds, I suppose. Nick Courtney passing away, so they probably had it in there for that reason. But it's a nice scene.
Yeah, it's a nice scene. Talking of filming, I can't believe they dragged Simon Callow back to do that little scene because it's like it doesn't add anything to it. But it's nice. It's such it's a lovely little thing that the Moff thought, I know, we'll have Charles Dickens on the TV. Oh, he was in series 1. Let's get him back. I wonder if he's free. When did that happen? When did they say, Simon, I know you're busy touring the world in your plays and doing your stage stuff, but could you just pop in and do the scene on BBC News? You're only going to be on TV for like 3 seconds, but could you do that? And you'll have to put all that makeup and suit on again, but it'll be worth it for those 3 seconds. I mean, when did that happen? But it's lovely, isn't it? That's again, I mean, say what you like about the Moff. He does love little details like that, and he gets it done. He gets it on the screen. So, but that again, just as like, it's like Charles Dickens. What?
What?
When was that filmed?
Yeah, that was a cool little moment as well because I remember when I first watched it, I thought that's just like some kind of cut material from when.
That's what I thought.
From when he was doing The Unquiet Dead, I thought, that's just a cut scene or something, and miraculously it just fits in with what he's written for that bit, and they've slotted it in. But no, apparently not. They got him back to get in character and film that little bit, and fair play to him though, because a lot of actors would. I mean, bloody hell, you can't even get Chris Eccleston. Well, you used to be able to not even get him to mention the words Doctor Who, let alone that. And then you got this guy, like you said, he's off around the world doing stuff. He's like, I'll do it. I'll come back and do it. So. Yeah, that was cool.
That opening shot as well is glorious, isn't it? I mean, the CGI is pretty good. All that stuff of the Gherkin Tower in London with the train coming through, and you've got cars. Are they on balloons or something? I can't remember what it is. The opening CGI shots, they've really put some effort into that. It looks great.
It does actually, yeah.
The whole opening is amazing.
Yeah, it holds up pretty well. I remember when I was watching this, not last night, but whenever it was before, it's probably about a year or so ago, something like that. I remember thinking exactly the same thing then. I was thinking, wow, this is the CG holds up surprisingly well.
Yeah.
Because I know they had a bit more budget during this series. I remember the very first couple of episodes, The Impossible Astronaut and those ones where they're out in the US and all that stuff. It seemed to have that kind of jump. So Series 5 looked really good, but then for some... Like they must have had more budget going into Series 6 because there is a slight improvement on everything. Like all of the just regular live action shooting just looks a little bit nicer, a little bit more cinematic at this point. It just looks really good. But then coupled with that, they must have had a bit more money for the CG, because that looks really good as well.
It definitely looks like it's had some money pumped into Series 6. Like you said, they're filming abroad. The whole style of it looks good. The CGI looks good. Like the pyramid bit as well. Yeah, it looks like it's had some money pumped into it. It definitely shows on screen.
Yes.
Just going back to what you were saying as well about it not being as complicated as you remembered, I think that's the thing. When I first watched this, I just was so, after about 10 minutes, so uninvested in what was going on. Because I don't, if a story's going to keep going backwards and forwards like Moffat loves to do, it has to keep me engaged. And I remember at the time it didn't. I was just thinking, oh, stop with the timey-wimey, just tell the story. I remember thinking that, like, oh, just stop going backwards and forwards to him and Churchill and then him on the train. It drove me mad. And now he's doing the envelopes and now they're on the beach again. What is going on? And I think this time watching it, and it's probably because it wasn't that long ago that we watched the astronaut one, the first two parts.
Yeah.
I think because I'd sort of watched that fairly recently, so still had it fresh in my mind. And, again, that's the thing with Series 6. I think it is one that you have to go back and watch. I think on a first watch, it is so much going on. You just see Moffat at the side of the soundstage throwing in the kitchen sink. There is so much going on that I'm starting to think, despite its faults, there is some stuff in Series 6 that really is rewarding on a rewatch. It's just there's too much to take in when you first watch it. But so I found it fairly easy to follow this time, because I was thinking, oh yeah, okay, so it's the Doctor that delivers the envelopes. He knows it's River in the spacesuit at this point. She's messed everything up because she's just trying to save it. It all fitted into place this time, and I think it was very well directed as well, because there's scenes of the silence in their water tanks. I mean, it just looked fantastic on screen, all the stuff that was going on. So I was much more impressed this time, and maybe just because I was expecting to sit there thinking, oh, when will it end? I think because I'd gone into it with that expectation of thinking, oh yeah, this is a rubbish episode, let's get this watched. I was just surprised really how much I was getting into it. And I liked all the stuff with Rory and Amy as well, when the Doctor tries to awkwardly tell Rory, he's like, I think she likes you, mate, you want to give her scenes like that. Really, I had a big smile on my face. I really forgot how much I miss 11 and the Ponds. They were a great, not double acts, what do you call a three acts? They were, the Doctor and the Ponds, they were a great team. Some really lovely moments through that. And I absolutely loved the bit where Amy, what does she say? There was a bit where it's just after she's gone down the silence and she sort of grabs Rory, and I can't remember, there's a really nice moment there.
Oh, she says to him something like, so we go for a drink.
We're going to get married.
And he's like, okay.
Okay.
And then we're going to get married. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, there was lots of moments like that, that just at the time, wasn't paying attention. I'd zoned out. The story had lost me. But yeah, I was much more invested this time. And I was really, really enjoying stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I do like the Ponds. I forgot how much I like the Ponds,
Yeah, they can be cool. I mean, they're a little bit hit and miss sometimes, mainly around Amy rather than Rory.
Yeah.
Rory's always, what you're going to get with Rory. Sometimes Amy, I don't know, I think just the way that Karen Gillan played, or maybe was directed to play Amy at certain points, she has a touch of the Rose Tylers about her at times.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit hit and miss at times, but generally speaking, Matt, so that trio is a very good team at times. And this is one of those stories where you really want it to be that as well, because you have no idea what's going on with Rory. You don't really know what's going on with Amy in the first half of it. Before they end up on the train going towards the pyramid, Area 52, where the silence were. You don't really know what's going on with Amy at that point. Like, does she know what's going on with the world right now? Does she understand? And it's not until you get on the train where you see all of the drawings that she saved and the little TARDIS model and stuff, and And then she kind of sort of breaks character a little bit from what she was in the first part of it, because, they have a big hug and everything. But you really don't know what's going on with Rory either. Like, is he going to remember everything? Does he? Because at the moment, he's just a soldier, isn't he? He's just following orders sort of thing. And it was really cool, actually, the way the silence recognised him. Didn't they say something like Rory, the man who dies and dies, or something?
Yeah, that's right, yes.
And he has no clue what they're talking about and just doesn't know. And then the band is kind of back together, isn't it, towards the end, and he comes in and River and they're out in the garden and they realise what's happened and the Doctor's really alive and all that stuff. So it kind of comes true towards the end. You kind of get back to that really cool vibe of, this is like the really cool TARDIS team.
They are a great team. They bounce off each other so well, don't they?
Yes, yeah. Especially Matt Smith and Arthur Darvill. Those two are just gold at times.
They are.
Yeah.
I mean, Karen's great in this. I think I sometimes remember, when I think of the character of Amy, I probably do think more towards the sort of stuff I don't like, strangely. I think of Series 5, which is trying to kiss the Doctor and she's not very nice to Rory. And but I forget that actually there is quite a good progression of Amy's character. And she's very good in this. I mean, she kicks them, she really does. That scene when she puts on Madame, I can never say it. Kavarian. When she puts her eye patch back on, she's like, "You took my baby," and she really turns, doesn't she? She's like, she's finally going to get her, because that was a horrible scene with the baby back in whatever episode that was. Madame Kavarian, she's had this coming, really, and it's really harsh, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, in terms of
Amy's like.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought the mic. Yeah, I was going to say, she says something like, "River's my mum." She sort of says, I've got a bit of my mum in me. I'm not always nice, basically. There's another side to me, and this is it. And then she puts the patch on, and Gloria's like, ah. So I liked that. I thought, wow, Amy, whoa, she's really got some go about her,
Yeah, and in terms of what you just said about character progression, we see that very quickly in this story, because after that happens, at the end, that scene I just mentioned when she's in the garden with River, she hates herself for it. And River's like, don't worry about it. It was in another time that now doesn't exist or something, so don't worry. And Amy's like, well, I remember it in my head, so it's real, kind of thing. And she's really down and regrettable about that event. So in terms of character progression, we do have that throughout the time that she's in the series. But even in this just 45-minute story, we see a little bit of progression from her, which is good. So, I mean, the Moff's not all bad. Let's not bash too much, because we do that sometimes with the Mothball and some of his stories. But these little things that he injects into the story are very cool.
And especially the humour as well. I think sometimes Moff, really, the script, I mean, he does deliver some really great lines, sometimes. I just find myself smiling at a lot of his dialogue, not necessarily laughing out loud, but he does have a way of just delivering some great lines that make you smile. Like, what does the Doctor call River? Like something in hell in high heels or something. And I was just like, oh yeah. Some of his dialogue is really fun, I think. And again, it's delivered well by the cast. The scene with River in the garden, that was strange, because it's always weird seeing River and Amy together when they know who each other is. So she's like, all right, Mum. It's just like, what? It's weird. But I guess that's the mothball over, isn't it? Timey-wimey.
That's the mothball, yeah.
Yeah. It's strange how you can change your views on an episode, though, because like I said, I thought I hated this episode, and I really didn't. But then I'm looking back, and when you get the montage at the beginning, and I see clips of Let's Kill Hitler, which on a first watch I remember thinking I quite enjoyed, because I liked all the the girl at the end regenerating was a shock, and I remember loving all that stuff. I can't bear to watch that episode anymore. I find it such an irritating episode. Let's Kill Hitler. So it's really strange, isn't it? The stuff that you sometimes change your opinion on in quite a dramatic way. This is definitely one of them.
Okay. Yeah.
I sound like I'm loving it. It definitely has its faults, but so it's one of the joys of doing this podcast is revisiting stuff that you think you don't like, and then you find something good in it.
Yeah.
And I think there is a lot of good in this. I really do.
Okay. What did you think to the silence in this then? Because they are a very creepy looking alien enemy within the Who, the Who-niverse. And I'm surprised we haven't seen them back already, the silence, because the Moff wrote them in for them to have such a massive impact and stakes in terms of if they hadn't have been stopped, then I don't know, they just seem like they're a very big influential thing happening to the world, within the world of Doctor Who on Earth, but yet we haven't seen or heard anything about them in recent years. So I kind of like them as an alien. They do look very creepy.
Oh, they do. I mean, they look fantastic on screen, don't they?
Yeah, they look awesome. Yeah.
The thing I don't get about the silence is, though, what are they waiting for? I don't know. Maybe I misunderstand them. So obviously, every time they draw a line on their arm, they've seen them or whatever. But what are they waiting to pounce? Like, why don't they just do it? That's the only thing I don't get with the silence. Like, what are they actually doing?
Yeah, so I think they're. I mean,
they are scary.
Yeah, well, they're the ones that know about the prophecy, right? About the Doctor dying on Trenzalore.
Yeah,
and all that stuff. So, they're kind of important, I suppose, in the Doctor's time stream at that point, I suppose. So they just feel like they have a lot of weight behind them in terms of like other monsters and aliens that you see within Doctor Who. They, at times, it's almost like they just sort of whiz by in a flash with no sort of real consequence. Like we have a lot of stories where, I don't know, like the Silurians are back and they've done stuff, but that story happens and it's isolated and it's all good. We might have like the odd creature of the week thing where it's an alien we've not seen over and over again. It's just a one-off thing and that's all good and dusted and see you later, thanks for coming. Or even maybe like the odd Cyberman story or Dalek story where it's not this huge, big, massive time war thing. It's just a bit like the story Dalek with Eccleston. That's like a nice little one-off
straightforward
thing. Yeah. It feels like the silence in terms of Matt Smith's era do have like a big sort of role to play in a lot of the stories. And they're not in every story, but it feels like they're kind of always in the background, which is what they're designed to be, I suppose. But then kind of this sort of wraps up and that's it. We don't hear from them again or anything. So, or do we? I'm pretty sure the silence have not been in it since this story. I don't think so.
Are they not in... oh, no. Do they not get thrown in Matt's last story, like very briefly? I can't remember. They might just get mentioned, actually.
I think they're mentioned.
Yeah, by the other woman whose name I can't remember. That's in that story. Yeah, because there's some revelation about them that I remember not liking, but I can't remember what it is. Yeah. She sort of reveals something about them, and I remember at the time going, what? That's another story I've only watched once. It's amazing, isn't it? Because considering how much I love Matt's Doctor, it surprises me how many stories of his I've only watched once because of the stories. He's definitely one of those where I just think he deserved much better in terms of the stories.
Yeah.
Because even now I'm looking at the next story, which is the Doctor, the Widow, the Wardrobe, which is dreadful. It's poor old Matt. He was so good, but man, some of his stories. And the one before this, Closing Time, that was a bit of a ropey one as well. But yeah, the silence, they're a great creation. And again, this is what Moffat's really good at, I think, is creating good, creepy, scary monsters. I mean, he could have just invented the Weeping Angels, and I think he could be happy with that contribution to Doctor Who. They're a great idea, a stone angel that can only, you can only attack you when you're sort of when you blink. What a fantastic concept, And then here he's got another one, the silence, that you forget as soon as you turn away. Moffat's great at coming up with these ideas, and that's why I do give him absolute credit for us. Showrunner. Yeah. He's actually thinking outside the box, and if anything, he tries too hard, I think, sometimes. But why not? I'd much rather that. I would much rather that than be just bland and boring and.
Yeah, it's true.
Not mentioning any names, but
Yeah, true.
At least he has a go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he definitely gets stuck in.
This episode does show that he does. He'll have a go. It doesn't always work, but
yeah, I think
he'll get stuck in.
There is some stuff that I think wraps up with the silence around Matt's. The time of the Doctor.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah.
I think there is some stuff around that because that is related to Trenzalore and all that stuff, isn't it? So I think it kind of wraps itself up there. But yeah, I'm just surprised that like Chibbers hasn't thought about it instead of creating all these new. Remember, we went through the first series, like, we're not going to have any recurring aliens or anything.
Yeah, we thought we were going to get some really exciting stuff.
Yeah, in hindsight, it might have been worth just throwing in the odd alien that we've seen in the past, and these would have been a cracking one to use.
What I do love about the story at the end as well is when Dorian's saying, you've got Trenzalore to come, you've got this, you've got it all to come, and he's thinking, yeah, the Moff. I don't know how he plots his stories. So I think a lot of people felt like he didn't know how to end this series, and they could be right to an extent. But that ending, just when Dorian's listing all the things that we've still got to come, is enough to make me think the Moff's still brimming with ideas, because he's already thrown in all that stuff that, viewer, he's talking to the viewer, really, isn't he? Saying, we've still got all this. You think this was a conclusion where I've still got this to come. The Doctor will fall, Trenzalore, all that stuff. So, again, I'm going to praise them off. I know we bash him at times and he bashes himself. It's all good, but he is brimming with ideas, and I think the ending to this shows that. It's just, it's a lot to come. It's a lot still to come.
Yeah, it's the ending was kind of weird, wasn't it? Because we don't get any sort of closing, clever, witty line or anything out of the Doctor, do we? It's just the camera sort of slowly zooms in on him, and he's just got that cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool. He's got that cool grin on his face. The look on his face almost says like, "Yeah, bring it on," kind of thing. Like, I'm up for it. But there's no sort of rebuttal from the Doctor. There's no witty comeback or clever one-liner or anything. So, yeah, it's kind of a weird ending, in my opinion.
It is a strange ending, yeah. Because he's talking about going back in the shadows, isn't he?
Yes.
And again, I wonder if that's the Moffat thinking about the character of the Doctor. Like, what do I want to do with him? Do I want to take him back to sort of basics and not, being in the background rather than this? But I'm not sure he really follows through with that. But
not at all.
No.
If we think about what happens in Series 7, then that's absolutely not what because that line was kind of cool, where I think the Doctor says something like, "I'm making too much noise."
Yeah.
I need to go back into the shadows and stuff like that. So I think what he's saying is, I've put myself about a bit much recently, in terms of like universe collapsing, paradoxes and alternate time streams and all that stuff. I'm creating like a lot of noise within the universe. So I just need to calm down a little bit. I need to lay off the juice for a little while, put the sauce down, and just have a bit of a chilled one for a bit.
When he said that, I got confused because I thought, oh yeah, that leads into, and then I started thinking about the episode The Snowmen, when he's up in the clouds in the TARDIS and he's completely cut himself off from all this sort of stuff. But that's not too much later, is it? That's that must be halfway through Series 7, I guess. So you know what I mean? In my head, I was thinking, oh yeah, that's when the Doctor then sort of really takes a back seat and thinks, I'm not doing this anymore, and he's living up in the clouds. But yeah, that's the Snowmen I'm thinking of, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so
and he's got the ladder going up to the TARDIS, remember all that stuff?
Yeah, the first Clara story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a good premise. It's a good idea because essentially the universe thinks that the Doctor's dead, right? So this now gives him a good opportunity to kind of slip into the background a little bit and like he says, not create, too much noise and stuff. But I think after... what's the next one? It's a Christmas special, isn't it? The Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe.
Oh, what's after that?
So I think after that we kick in with Asylum of the Daleks.
Oh yeah, it must be, because then Clara's been bought, yeah.
Yeah, so... But
hang on a minute, but what about the Ponds leaving? Oh yeah, that's right, they leave it, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
Clara
thinking
doesn't come
Clara's
in.
it. Yeah, of course.
She's only in it for that
yeah.
first. So from that very first episode of Series 7, the Doctor's not being quiet at all. Like all of that's gone out the window from that nice, because they could have done a lot with that, with the universe presuming the Doctor's dead and him sort of going incognito for a while.
When do we get to Trenzalore then? Yeah, I'm looking at the story. So it makes you think how far ahead the Moffat had plotted then. It is confusing when you try and think about it, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think we get to that until the end of series. Was it series 7? I think.
When does he jump into the timeline? Is that must be Death of the Doctor, Night of the Doctor? No, Day of
the Name of the Doctor. So I think
the one.
The Name of the Doctor. That's like that's when it all goes very. Yeah, because we have some weird stuff that happens.
Don't we? Yeah.
In series 7, I know we have like it's split into 2 parts for a start, which is always a bit jarring. But it's really like Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS where things get weird.
Have we reviewed the one where he jumps into the time stream?
The Name of the I don't think so.
I don't think we have. Because I've got a feeling I've only ever watched that when it went out. I don't think I've ever gone back to that one.
No, we haven't done that yet.
No, because I'm getting very mixed up in my head. I'm thinking it's the one. I'm thinking that Richard E. Grant's in it. He's not, is he? That's the Snowman.
That's the Snowman. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting those, all that sort of era, Series 7, end of Series 7. I'm getting very mixed up in my head. Yeah, maybe it's time to revisit some of that stuff.
Yeah,
well, we will because we haven't reviewed it, have we?
We've not reviewed the Snowman yet.
Yeah,
and we got up to Nightmare in Silver in Series 7, so we've yet to do the last one, The Name of the Doctor. Yep.
What did you think about the Doctor, the resolution of the Doctor's death then? So it turns out the Doctor's inside a Tesseract who have built him.
Tesseract?
No, what are they called?
Crikey, that's going to be a very different story.
What's a Tesseract?
Tesseract is in the Marvel universe. It's one of the Infinity Stones, That would have been a very different Doctor Who story. I'm really not sure about that whole Tesselector thing because it feels a little bit like
a cop-out.
I woke up and it was a dream kind of thing.
It could have been worse. He could have woke up in the shower and done a Dallas.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. So I'm not sure, mate. I mean, yeah, it does link into one of the sort of weaker elements because, don't get me wrong, the way that we find out about it is hilarious. Like when he's talking to the little dudes inside of the girl with the eye patch on and he's like, we'll do this for you. If there's anything else we can do, just let us know. And then he walks out the door, doesn't he? And then a few seconds later, his really chirpy, happy face pops back round. He's like, actually, there is something you can do. So that bit's really cool and funny. But the actual concept of it just feels like a reset button. It was a dream kind of thing. It's like, oh, actually, that wasn't the real Doctor that was killed. So don't worry about it. The real Doctor's actually alive and well, so we can crack on. Everything that you thought was going to happen and the huge consequence and the emotional thing around the Doctor being killed was actually just not really him. So you can all breathe easy now. It felt a little bit like that.
Yeah, it feels, I don't know, it doesn't quite work, does it? Like he's got them all there to see him being shot, which feels a bit weird. What happens after he is shot? For all they know, they've burnt the Doctor's body on that boat. It does feel a little bit callous, and it doesn't quite work, even though we now know it's not the Doctor, but they didn't know. And but I do like the bit when I do like the moment rather when Amy says, "What did the Doctor whisper in your ear? What was his name?" And she's like, "He didn't tell me his name. He said, look into my eye." And then you cut to Matt being just Matt. Inside the eye, waving his eye, I'm here. Yeah. And the TARDIS is behind him. And I thought, well, that is a good moment. I've got to say, that is a cracking moment. But it does feel a little bit, But then, I don't know, how else could you get out of that situation? It is, again, it's the Moffat writing himself into a bit of a corner. You can probably see him hunched over his desk thinking, oh, this is all good, but how do I get out of this,
He's probably got like 7 or 8 empty bottles of wine.
Oh, at least
on his desk and on the floor,
rattling around on the desk.
Yeah, he's got a waste basket bin which is overflowing with pieces of paper where he's tried like 1,000 ideas, and his hair's all crazy. And his wife knocks at the door. You want a cup of tea? Get out! And this has been going on for like 4 days straight now, and he's I can imagine that. Yeah,
the phone's ringing. It's the BBC. Have you finished the script? We're on air in a week.
Yeah, we're shooting like tomorrow. What's going on? Yeah, so he still doesn't know, and it just rushes it. Yeah, but
I mean, you can see it. To be fair, I think whatever he did is gonna disappoint someone. It's a very,
of course, mate.
It's a great idea, but it's very difficult to actually get a conclusion that everyone's going to love. And he had to find a way out of it, and he does. But yeah, it feels a bit of a get out. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a ganger, didn't they? You remember the ganger story? Is that what they were called?
The Flesh. What was that story?
Rebel Flesh, or whatever it is. The rubbish
doppelgangers,
story.
Yeah.
Doppelgangers. I mean, I wonder if they were thrown in as a bit of a doppelganger just to make people think, yeah, it's going to be one of them. Oh, it's not. It's that Tesselected guys. So yeah, I don't know. It does wrap it up, but is it satisfying? Not sure.
Yeah,
but once again, you get a lovely Matt Smith moment, so I can just forgive it because I just love that scene.
It is cool, yeah. And that's one of the things that puts me off about Series 6, is this... I felt like the Moff just went too far with the whole series-long arc. Because by the time you get to the end and you get to the finale, you're just like, oh, God.
Yeah,
how the bloody hell is he going to wrap this up? It's either just going to be open-ended, he's not going to wrap it up and it's just going to carry over into Series 7, or there's going to be some huge, massive, thing. I mean, in one way, he does kind of contain it to within the rules that he's written himself about Doctor Who at this point. If you think about what Chibbers did with the whole timeless child thing, he can, not only did he just blow open all of the rules that he had written around his Doctor and his time on Doctor Who, he also blew the rules open of all of Doctor Who. So at least the Moff kept it within that era of his Doctor sort of thing. So even if it was a bit of a huge convoluted mess, it seemed at times, Series 6 as a whole, I mean, at least by the time you get into Series 7, it seems like a distant memory and something that's kept nice and tidy in its own little box in Series 6. Whereas, like I said, man, the Chibbers, no regard for anyone else's era on Doctor Who. Just, I feel like we should do this. You realise that's probably going to upset a lot of people and is going to just undo pretty much all of Doctor Who. You realise that, right? Yeah. I got this. Don't worry. Yeah. So at least the Moff did that.
I'm looking at Series 6 and looking at the episodes, and it is such a mixed bag, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
There's some great stuff in between, but oh dear me, Curse of the Black Spot. Oh, Doctor's Wife. A lot of people like that one. Rebel Flesh. Almost people. You could, Oof. Good Man Goes to War. Which one's that? Oh yeah, that's the Enter thing. Yeah. Let's give it a Night Terrors. God, there is some real dross. I mean, Night Terrors is another one I just can't.
Awful episode.
Dreadful.
And then
Girly Weighted, that's not bad.
And then the God Complex, that's very
that's the one in the Minotaur, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to be in the mood for that. That's not.
And then Closing Time. Yeah, gosh, looking at some of the stories we got in Series 6.
Exactly, mate. It's not.
It's hard work. If anything, actually, I'm looking at this now, and the ones that I'm thinking, gosh, if I was going to watch any of this, it probably would be the Astronaut, Day of the Moon, and then jump straight to this, Wedding River. So just have that as a 3-part sort of story, because, the stuff in between, blimey.
Well, that's interesting, because I think this is the only series finale that's not an official 2-parter in terms of broadcast time, because it's obviously on its own, but if you think about it as a series whole, it is part of a trilogy. I mean, I know that Series 6 has an arc anyway. Most of the stories are connected in some way, but The Impossible Astronaut, Day of the Moon and Wedding of River Song, you could very easily watch them as a very cool little 3-parter.
Yeah, I think you could.
So they are linked together, but it's the only series finale. I could be wrong, but I think in terms of Modern Who, that's not a 2-parter.
It's weird having Closing Time before, isn't it? I mean, that just feels like such a throwaway episode, really. So to have that as, the penultimate story of Series 6.
Closing Time, is that the one with what's his face in it? James Corden is back.
James Corden and Cybermen. It's if that was a mid-series sort of story, because I say it's a bit throwaway. It's there's nothing to it really. It would be okay, but it's really weird to have that before this mega finale, if you like. Which a lot of people said it would have been better if it was a two-parter. I don't know. I don't think I'd want it dragged out any more than the 45 minutes, to be honest, personally, because I think that was just enough for me to sort of get the idea of where the Moth was going, and that's it. I don't think I'd want this as a two-parter, to be honest.
No, I'm the same, mate. No,
but yeah, strange to have closing time there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, dude. I don't have anything else on my list to go through, mate. Have you got any other points you want to bring up?
No, I've got why is Mark Gatiss dressed as that weird thing but not credited? So we got Mark Gatiss, the guy playing chess, but he's deaf chess, which is by the way a rip-off from a Blake Seven story. Just saying, Stephen, if you're listening. They did deaf chess years ago. But yeah, no, so weird that they've got Mark Gatiss in that costume, but he's credited as something else. What's he credited as? It's just weird, like what's going on there? Anyway, that was kind of good. Have I got anything else in my notes? Did you like Dorian, by the way?
No.
Did you? I thought he was quite funny. Did you not like him?
I just don't like his character, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I quite liked him being a head in the box. I thought it was quite fun. Just looking down my list.
Oh, one character we haven't mentioned is Ian McNeice as Churchill.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He was quite cool.
He is, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. When he was in the other one, the Victory of the Daleks, I wasn't sure, but I actually think he's quite. He gives quite a nice performance, basically, in both. Now I've rewatched them. At the time, I wasn't too sure, but. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I thought he was pretty good. Just looking down the cast list, anyone else we've missed?
He was quite good in that he labelled the Doctor as a soothsayer, locked him in the tower. That was kind of a cool story plot. But then he seems kind of cool with the Doctor after that. They sort of knock about together. And it's when they start to realise the silence is closing in. That's a really cool shot, actually. You know, when the Doctor sees marks appear on his arm and he knows straight away what's going on. And then all of a sudden he looks down, there's loads of them. And then they look up and the whole ceiling's covered. That was a really good bit, actually.
Yeah, no, again, that stuff that at the time I was getting a bit like, oh, what's going on? But I really liked it. Yeah, I was like, oh, this, that scene in particular, like you said. Just before we wrap up there, mate, what about River Song herself? Because obviously it's called The Wedding of River Song. The Doctor does this weird wedding ceremony for some reason. But what do you reckon to Alex Kingston in this? Because she has quite a bit to do. She's got a bit of emotion to portray and stuff. And River can be annoying at times, and other times I think she's quite funny. What do you think to her in this one?
I think I'm just in a crappy mood today, mate. But
you do not dig in River.
I just find her character to be very two-dimensional.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because she's either very over-the-top flirty, borderline, not suitable for kids kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Moffat does get it close to the bone. Yeah.
So she's either like that, or she's just crying her eyes out all the time because she either misses the Doctor, or she's going to kill the Doctor, or the Doctor doesn't remember her, and all that lot. I never find that there's an in-between moment with River. It's either that or it's that. So I find her very two-dimensional. So, yeah, she was okay. I mean, I much prefer whingy, crying, whinge bag River. She's not as annoying as over-the-top flirty stuff. But she was not too bad, I would say. Yeah, she was all right.
I often think she feels very different to the River we saw in Silence in the Library. You know, that character's got a bit of the sass, but she's not the sort of, I don't know, she gets very sort of, like you said, flirty, quite quite mouthy. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I quite like the character of River Song, but also sometimes she does annoy me. Like you said, it depends how she's written. I didn't mind her in this because I felt like all that stuff that she was coming out with was just bravado, because deep down you can tell she really cares about Doctor because she's willing to destroy the universe. And I did like, despite what the wedding stuff being a bit like, what the hell? I did like the bit with the Doctor, and again, this is Matt Smith just being awesome. I loved it when he just said, you need to. He took charge basically.
Yeah.
Said, you got to stop this. I don't want this. Now come, and he just completely takes that scene and says to her, you've got to do this and stop messing around. And it's, that's it. We're not taking any more of this bleep, And I just thought that was a great scene. And I thought suddenly she has to drop all the one-liners and hello sweetie stuff because the Doctor means it. And she's finally realizes, yeah, okay. And I thought that was a good scene, and I thought Alex was good in that as well. But yeah, I love it when Matt takes charge, man. He's so good with the humor, so good with the emotion. I just love how he can just switch like that. And he's like, listen, guys, enough's enough. And I'm not having it. And I just thought, whoa, I just love that. Love him. Love that Doctor
no,
so
I agree,
much.
Mate. I agree.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I haven't got anything else. Oh, what about the music? What about Murray's music? Finale music, or didn't you really get anything from this one?
No. Forgettable, really.
Just
more of the same. Yeah.
There's just a lot of that again, isn't there? Yeah.
I'm sure there are more, and there are deeper nuances and little bits that I'm sure if Murray was to hear us say that, he'd be devastated. But in terms of just thinking about the story days or weeks afterwards, you wouldn't hum back any of the themes from it or anything.
Apart from that one
that we've heard a million times, yeah. Okay, cool. So scores, I think it's me to go first.
You go first, mate. Yeah.
I'm going to give this a 5
I knew
10.
you were going to go 5.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I just think this is pure middle of the road. Initially, I was thinking about a 4.
Oh.
But I think I'll give it a 5 because mainly due to the performances, Matt was very, very good. Top notch, as always, really good.
He's brilliant in it.
It looks great, really good production stuff, and there are some good little bits in there, but overall, like Series 6, it just feels very heavy, and the ending's a bit of a cop-out, but so a 5 for me. What about you?
I hear you. Yeah, I think if you'd have asked me before I rewatched it, I would have definitely said 4, 5. I definitely would have been down there. Having rewatched it, I liked it a lot more than I thought. I'm going to give it a 7.
A 7?
Yeah, 7. I thought it was quite an enjoyable little ride, albeit a confusing one.
Okay, cool. What did our listeners think to this one then? First up, this is Mr. Martin Arnold.
Something Borrowed, Something Blue. The Wedding of River Song, I'm going to review. Stephen Moffat, at his best, is also Stephen Moffat at his worst, and I think that is fundamentally the problem I have with him. You can tell he loves the show, and he's got a lot of passion for it, and his ideas, they do shine through. It's just that it's all a bit too clever, and it's all a bit too smart for its own good, and it kind of gets defined more by how it fails than what succeeds. And there's stuff in here that's really cool. He's good at coming up with some dialogue. It's got a good structure, which I think is true of the entire season. And it's watchable as a season, even if individual parts are a bit weak. Chopping the season up into 2 parts was a massive, massive mistake. Tesslator is a very obvious plot device now that you think about it. Having watched it again, it stands out like a sore thumb. Obviously, the Doctor wasn't going to die. But it's fun. It's a decent ride, even if it is a bit trippy and a bit incoherent. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. But that's as far as it goes. Cheers, everybody. Stay safe in space and time.
Another 7 with you,
yes,
bud. Yeah,
he's with me on that one, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting what you said there, Martin, about the best of Moffat is often coupled with his worst as well. And I think this episode and Series 6 really just encapsulates that train of thought. Sometimes, and like we said during the episode as well, he's obviously a massive Who fan, knows his stuff, and just loves the show with a passion. And some of those things come through. But at the same time, he kind of undoes himself a little bit with these crazy ideas and everything. So, yeah, we hear you, Martin. Yeah, so you're in there with Adam with a 7. So thank you very much for that. Moving on, this is from Down Under, as usual. This is Sammy Satine.
G'day, Gary and Adam 716 here. So, The Wedding of River Song, despite all its problems, one thing is true. Moffat writes stories you remember, unlike Chibnall. It's actually attempting to tie up the arc of an entire series and add more to River's story. It succeeds on a level. I like Dorian, nice moment between Amy and Madame Kavarian. I give it 6 eye patches out of 10. Given you guys in the UK are embarking on a second lockdown, I'd like to leave you with a chorus from a song called The Darkness by a wonderful man called Paul McDermott. We all want to find the edge of darkness, want to lift it up a little bit, put a fold in the edge of darkness. Just enough to let some sunshine in. Don't forget to let some sunshine in, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy. See ya.
That's very true, Sammy.
Thank you, Sammy. Yes, we will. We will always flip the positive side. Don't you worry about it.
Exactly, yeah. Let the sun shine in. Indeedy. Yeah. Thank you very much, Sammy, as always. Moving on, this is TARDISNet 66.
Okay, so The Wedding of River Song is a disappointment to say the least. Its main problem is that it completes the downhill direction of River Song's character that started with Let's Go Hitler, which becomes nothing more than this flirtatious woman who is utterly obsessed over the Doctor. And I don't like the conclusion to the Series 6 story arc of the Doctor's death, as it makes the whole prospect of the Doctor questioning his impacts on the universe completely pointless, as it just basically undoes absolutely everything. And then, at the end of the episode, where the Doctor decides to hide in the shadows, that's completely undone by the start of the next episode, where the Doctor just decides to blow up a spaceship. So the story has very little impact. I like the scene with the Brigadier, and I like Matt Smith and his performance, but very little else.
Oh dear.
It's a shame about the shadows thing, isn't it? It's almost as if the Moff thought, I'll use that again later on, but yeah.
Yeah, make some good points there, mate. That's what I mean when talking about Series 6 and stuff. Sometimes one thing that the Moff does, just then something else just loses its impact, which is what I was talking about with the silence. On one hand, they seem very important to what's going on in the world at that point, and with the Doctor's time stream, very consequential, but then something happens and then all of a sudden they don't matter. And I don't know. But anyway.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean, yeah. So thank you very much, TARDISNet 66. Thank you very much indeedy. And lastly, this is Mr. Joe Turner.
Well, if there's ever an episode to best describe the mind of Stephen Moffat, this would be it. I could just picture him now with his red wine, scribbling down excitedly every single idea that comes to his head, and it's apparent in the episode. I felt the stuff of Winston and the Doctor was great, when they seem to be arming themselves unaware of why they are doing so, which is a concept I love when dealing with the silence. I thought the episode picked up when they were in the pyramid, and I thought Karen's performance as Amy was great. She bossed it with a gun protecting Rory and condemned Madame Kavarian to death. We've got some cool stuff to do with the Doctor universe, and Stephen managed to get rid of his Dalek paradigm problem. And the scene when the Doctor rings up the nursing home and finds out that the Brigadier has sadly passed away is such an emotional scene, and Matt is great in it. He's genuine, emotive, and just brilliant. However, for me, it was slow in places, confined to only a few sets, the CGI was poor, and the whole plot was just extremely complicated and convoluted and could have been executed a lot better. So for me, I give this episode a 5 out of 10. Sorry for the fireworks in the background. See ya.
Don't apologise, dude. The old fireworks. Crikey, weren't a fan of the CG, man.
I thought the CG looked good. I'll tell you what, he has just reminded me of the scene I was trying to think of earlier. He just reminded me of what it was. The bit I loved with Rory and Amy, it wasn't when she walked out with him. It was when she turns to him and says, "Why isn't your eye patch working?" And he says, "It is." And you suddenly realise he's in lots of pain, but you see the clenched fist. And then she then guns down all the silence to save him. That's the bit I liked. I thought, that's all. Because I assumed Rory was going to die again. So the fact that she then waltzes in and saves him, I thought that was a good scene.
Yes, that is a good scene, mate. Yeah. Well, that's it for the audio clips. Thank you so much, guys, for sending in your audio reviews, as always. What have we got next week, dude?
Next week? Oh, nothing on the socials? I wasn't ready for you.
Sorry. But yeah, I should do the socials. Let me just go and correct
I was sat
myself.
back. I have. What have we got? I should know what we've got next week. It's the Doctor. What's it called? I wasn't ready for you, dude. Sorry,
I'll do the socials first. Sorry, that was my fault. Adam got comfy there. He had his arms crossed, leant back, ready for me to rattle through.
Feet were up. Yeah.
Let's go through what we had over on Twitter. The Proctor Who podcast, Mark, over at a very good podcast, guys. Go and check that show out. Says, I've just rewatched this as part of my Matt Smith rewatch. Still disappoints. Too abstract, poor resolution. It's a weak season closer. Matt Smith shines, though. I miss Matt a lot. Gives it a 6.
We all do, Mark. Wow.
Yes. Our reviewer, Jordan Shortman, says, absolute nonsense. Remember hating it when it came out live, and much like a lot of Series 6, still hate it today. It's a shame because the performances from the regulars are great, but much like this period of the Moff era, it's too convoluted, confusing, and just not fun. Oh dear, Jordan.
Hate's a strong word, Jordan.
Yes. Chippy T says, Moffat finally manages to write himself into a corner. Instead of having everybody say, oh, it was all just a dream, which is also naff, he throws everything in the mix and hopes the resultant mess works out, but it doesn't. So 4 marks for Matt, though.
Yes.
4, crikey. The Lost on Gallifrey podcast, another good show. They say, undoubtedly, the worst Moffat finale. This series has huge arcs, and it's clear there was no plan on how to resolve most of it. Saying that, though, it is fun, a mad 50 minutes, the sort of episode you'd enjoy if it was just on the telly. And Matt, unbelievably amazing as per usual, a 6 out of 10. Yeah. Sarah Louise, the running Whovian. She says, I found this a fun watch. It may have worked better as a slower paced 2-parter, but it held my attention throughout. And I like the nod to Nicholas Courtney. A 6.5.
Cheers, Sarah.
That's not a bad score, Sarah. Keep running. Morgan, our good friend Morgan, says, just hearing the title alone makes me want to bang my head against the wall.
Oh, dear.
It has good ideas, but doesn't have the capacity to tie up all the season's threads, and we end up with a tangled mess. It definitely should have been a 2-parter. 3 eye patches of death out of 10. And lastly on Twitter, Brian Chapman says, The Wedding of River Song is an extremely enjoyable series finale. No amount of tweet space can describe all that happens in this episode. All I can say is that I always watch with a big grin on my face. 8.5 Churchill downloads out of 10.
I love it.
And over on Facebook, we had a few over there. Jeff Waddle says, looks good in places, but in reality, it's all over the place. I've seen people saying it ties up everything, but I don't get it. And worst of all, I don't care. It's just a rehash of the wonderful season 5 finale of the universe getting smaller. And I don't get why he has to marry River.
No.
And the silence make not a bit of sense. A wonderful setup at the beginning of the season with the mystery of who River is, why the Doctor is killed, and it all just falls flat. Oh dear. Cy James says, it's a bit of a wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey one, that it's just terribly confusing. What is the point of the wedding? Best part of the episode is that Karen Gillan looks stunning throughout, but other than that, it just doesn't do it for me. Oh dear, Cy. Charlie Turner, in the words of the comic book guy from The Simpsons, worst new series finale ever. It made the entirety of Series 6 pointless. It would have been a bit better if the Doctor that got shot in the beginning of the series turned out to be a ganger, considering that he had one in the closing moments of the Rebel Flesh and some moments in the Almost People. But no, this is just a new series finale done incredibly wrong, as it has an endlessly large cop-out and it has plot holes the size of the Grand Canyon. At least Matt Smith is good here, though. Gives it a 1 out of 10. Crikey.
1? Oh, harsh.
Crikey, Charlie. And lastly, Millie Mackenzie, she says, this is another of those fave episodes of mine that when I came into the online fandom early this year, discovered everybody hated it. I love it because it's bonkers. Series 6 is still to this day one of my fave, and this episode chucks it all at me. It's funny, crazy, all of the time as merged together in this splinter universe where everyone wears eye patches. River is at her most vulnerable. Underneath all that flirty exterior, she just wants the Doctor to live, regardless of what that does to the universe. Again, absolutely bonkers, but such a fun watch. That's a good point, Millie.
Yeah.
You can't deny it. Most of the episode is a fun watch. It does throw everything at you.
It certainly does.
Yes. So that was the socials. Thank you very much, guys, for sending your thoughts over on there too. Now, Adam.
Right.
What have we got next week? Sorry, dude.
Next week. I'm so looking forward to this. So more Matt Smith next week, but not Doctor Who. The Sarah Jane Adventures is back, and we'll be reviewing Death of the Doctor. Death of the Doctor.
Death of the Doctor, as if he hasn't died enough recently.
No, he's giving Rory a run for his money. I'm looking forward to this. This is one of the few Sarah Janes I have seen, albeit ages ago. I'm really looking forward to rewatching this one. Matt Smith, Joe Grant, Sarah Jane. I mean, it's going to be great. And it's the first time Gary's will have seen it. So, yeah.
Indeedy. Yes, I've not seen this
next
one.
Week.
Yeah.
And what are they? Giant birds, giant ostriches. I don't know what they are.
We don't know what they are, but it's exciting.
It is exciting, yeah.
Yeah. Nice one, dude. The Death of the Doctor, or just Death of the Doctor from Sarah Jane. Sounds good, bud. And I think we'll wrap there for 287.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sticking with us for another week as we charged through episode 287, covering all the mass amount of news and all the merch. It was good. Obviously no news, that was a joke, but we did cover the old B&M sets. So yes. So let us know if you're up for grabbing those, or if you managed to get one, tweet us a pic and all that, and bask in the glory knowing that you beat the scalpers and you actually got one. And also the master set from Hero Collector / Eagle Moss.
Yeah.
30 odd quid will get you the 4 masters. Meh. Meh. And thank you everybody for sending in your thoughts and reviews for The Wedding of River Song. It was a 5 from me, a 7 from him, and a bit of a mixed bag from our listeners, I would say. We had a 1 out of 10 and then we had an 8.5, so plenty of the spectrum filled up with scores. Next week, as Adam said, we're on to the Sarah Jane Adventures again, Death of the Doctor, so get that watched. We'll be asking for your thoughts and reviews as always. In the meantime, head over to the website bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our shows on there, plus you can read all of the cool reviews and articles that our writing team put out there, to go and check those out. Very, very cool. There's also links off to the various podcast apps and networks. We'd love to have you as a subscriber so you don't miss a show when it lands every Friday. And if you've got a minute to leave a rating and a review, that would be awesome, because that really helps us out a lot. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Go and connect and follow and like and everything over there. We chat Doctor Who throughout the week. And we have a free Discord server too, to come and there's a link on the website to that. Go and join that and come and hang out and chat Doctor Who and everything else during the week. And also check out my co-host channel over on YouTube, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, the old Geek's Handbag. And have a look at that YouTube.
The old Geek's Handbag indeed. Loads of very cool videos from Adam. Get yourself a drink, get comfy. So many cool geeky vids over there. And Adam's on the socials too, under the same name, The Geek's Handbag. So go give him a follow.
Really, he's on that old YouTube.
He's on that old YouTube. Until next week for 288. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,